whole soup portion of the lead. This got to come apart. First of all, I want to thank everybody that had anything to do with me coming here, being here tonight. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to hear me. I want to thank Ramon for introducing me. Like Ramon talked about, I get an opportunity to lead a lot, and Ramon gets an opportunity to introduce me a lot. So Ramon, we kind of like Chuck D and Flavor Flav. He like Flavor Flav, but Flavor Flav got more sense than him. But other than that, I just like to thank Vaughn, and I like to thank everybody. It's a gentleman named Michael. Where's Mike at? Oh, he count money. He threatened me. He said if my lead wasn't any good, I had to pay for my own room. Seeing that I didn't plan a lead out, we just gonna say whatever God want me to say. And this is my last night here anyway, so good luck getting your money back, Mike. Good luck. I'm a student of the Big Book Alcoholics Anonymous. You're going to hear me refer to that book, this book, the book says, and things of that nature. The Big Book Alcoholics Anonymous and the information that's in it, if applied, will save your life. It has saved mine. So I'm going to refer to that book. The book tells me I'm supposed to share with you in a general way what it used to be like, what happened, and what it's like now. I grew up in the projects. My mother was the neighborhood drunk, junkie, addict, alcoholic. I remember my mother would do things that would embarrass me and my sister. My mother would do things like she was a knockdown, fallout drunk. She was a knockdown, fallout alcoholic. And she would do things like pull her pants down in the middle of broad daylight, in the middle of the sidewalk, and just pee. And I remember going through that and remember having to deal with those feelings of my friends teasing me at school. My mother was a drug addict and alcoholic, something that I swore I would never be. I ended up being just like her, and I understand the day that she did the best that she could with what she had to work with. And I remember people would have things that I couldn't afford that my mother couldn't get me. Like Adidas was real popular when I was growing up. And Adidas are like tennis shoes with 3 stripes on them. And my mother would give me some shoes from a dollar store with like 9 stripes on them. And I remember going to the school and people was looking and laughing and pointing like, man, them got way too many stripes on them, man. And I remember how bad I felt. I remember people were wearing things like polo and Izod shirts to school, and that was real popular. And I remember my mother would get me clothes from churches and shelters and things like that. And sometimes it would be polo and Izod, which is a little alligator. Sometimes that type of clothing would be in the bag, but it wouldn't always be my size. So what I would do is I would get a razor blade or some scissors and I would cut out the alligator, or I would cut out the polo symbol on the polo shirt, and I would try to sew it or glue it onto another shirt. And if you know anything about polo, that's not a patch. That's actual stitching inside of the shirt. So for whatever reason, they always knew that my shirts weren't authentic, and they always wanted to see the inside of the tag. And I would always tell them, man, I got to go to class. I remember when I was younger, my eyes were very badly crossed. They sat on the bridge of my nose, and up until I turned 21, God just kind of straightened them out for me. And I remember that I had very low self-esteem because I would talk to people, and I would say something to them like, hey, do you want to go to the store? And they would look left and look right and say, you talking to me? And that shit used to tear me to shreds. Because I thought I was looking them eye to eye. But I guess one was looking them eye to eye, and one was looking at, I ain't know who the hell I was talking to. And I remember it was a girl in my class, and I really liked this girl. And I remember that I attempted to talk to this young lady, and she told me, she said, Shawn, you cute and everything, but I can't talk to you because you cross-eyed. And that broke my heart. It really did. It crushed me. Because if she didn't like my clothes, I could have tried to wash my clothes or get some more clothes. If she didn't like my hair, I could have got a jerry curl or some brush waves or whatever. But she picked the one thing about me that I had absolutely no control over. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt there was no way that I would ever be able to be with this woman, And I share all that because I had very low self-esteem. Very, very low self-esteem. I remember I was cutting class and I was over this guy's house, and it was about 4 of us over there, and we sneaking out of school, and we smoked. They were smoking weed, and we were watching porno movies, and the guy asked me if I wanted to hear. He said, you don't know nothing about this. You know, he tested my ego. And I said, yeah, I know all about it. I had never smoked before in my life, but I wanted to be a part of. I didn't want to be a punk, a lame, or a chump. So when it came my way, I took it, and I did what they told me to do. I inhaled, and I started to cough, and I inhaled some more, and I started to cough. And I don't know what alcohol or marijuana did for anybody in this room, but I remember I hit that joint, and my shoes mysteriously lost 6 stripes. And I was like, damn, this is nice, man. Woo! These is nice. And I remember I kept smoking, and I looked in the mirror, and my eyes were straight. And I was looking, I said, damn. I say, this all right here. And I didn't have the ability to talk to women. And I remember I would smoke weed and I would drink. And I could talk fluidly. Now, I wasn't saying nothing, but at least I could speak. Because before that, I would just stand there and do nothing. That's pretty much all I'm going to tell you about my self-esteem. I don't like to talk a lot about getting high, but I will tell you, I am a real alcoholic. I am a real drug addict. I slept in abandoned buildings. I ate out of garbage cans. I wore my cleanest dirty clothes. When my underwear would get dirty, I would flip them over on the other side. And when that side would get dirty, I would reflip them. And I would get a good 13, 14-day wear out of one pair of underwear. I know what time KFC throw the chicken away. I know what time Pizza Hut throws the chicken away. And the thought of relapse doesn't scare me. The thought of relapsing and dying doesn't scare me. What scares me is that I will relapse and I'll never die. Because I know how to survive on the street. You know, I came to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous in October of 1995 at 20 years old. And I remember that when I came in here, I was very closed-minded, and I was very prejudiced. I didn't like white people, and I didn't like black people, and I didn't want to listen. I didn't like fat, light-skinned, bald-headed, short dudes. I didn't like anything that anybody was talking about if it wasn't from the street. So I came in Alcoholics Anonymous not because I wanted some help. This guy gave me some dope to sell for him, which wasn't a bad idea. I'm out there all night. I know everybody to smoke. But the one problem that I had then is the same problem I can't sell dope today. You give me some dope, I got to taste it first, And that's what happened. This guy gave me $10, $20 rocks. And I went in the hallway and I hit one and I got stuck. I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do nothing. But miraculously, the only thing I could do was put another hit on. That was like the limit of all my movement. So I had $10, $20 rocks, and then I had $5, $10 rocks. Then I had like 7 $2.60 pieces. I say, man, I'm smoking this shit. Ain't nobody gonna buy this. So immediately after I smoked it, paranoia kicked in. Because I know this guy gonna crack my head. He gonna crack my head. So I said, you know what? I need treatment. And I said, man, I must need some help. But I was trying to escape the consequences of my actions. I didn't really come to Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous to get help. So I came to AA and they told me to do some things, and I had a problem with everything that they told me. They told me to go to meetings. And I went to meetings, but I went to meetings with this closed mind. First of all, I didn't even want to be there. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't want to be an addict. I didn't want to be there. I was too young. I was 20 years old. I couldn't be an addict. So I went to the meeting, and I remember the first meeting I went to was a white guy there speaking. Immediately, I ain't going to get nothing. He white, I'm black, I ain't going to get nothing. Now, I can't tell you what this gentleman said because I went to the meeting closed-minded, but I can tell you what I heard. What I heard him say was he lost his wife because of drinking. And he talked about losing jobs because of drinking. And he talked about wrecking cars because of drinking. And he talked about his kids left his house because of his drinking. And I remember sitting in the back thinking to myself, this is some depressing shit here. I was sad. I wanted the meeting to hurry up and end so I could go grab the lead, the speaker, and go get a wine with him, because I was broke up. I said, damn, dude went through it. Now, he may have talked about this 12-step program. He may have talked about the spiritual way of life. But when I walked in the meeting, I was comparing myself to the speaker, much like some people are doing to me right now. So when I went in there with that closed mind, I wasn't going to hear what he said. I was going to hear what I wanted to hear. So I didn't want to go to meetings because they was too damn depressing. You know, I don't want to go to no meetings. They told me to get a sponsor. Now, to my knowledge, getting a sponsor was like the Pick a Boss program. Like I'm supposed to come in a room with all of you sick people that say you were powerless and ask you to run my life. I said, no, that's all right. I don't need no boss. I said, I got a woman at home. I don't need no boss. So what I didn't understand is that I didn't know how much, I wasn't born knowing how much baking soda it took to bring cocaine back. I wasn't born knowing that a long-handled screwdriver, when inserted into a column and popped upwardly, would expose the pin and you could peel a column. I wasn't born with the knowledge of wearing jogging pants 2 and 3 sizes too big so I could use the elastic or the drawstring to fold up shirts and jeans and pot roasts and steaks and get out of the store. But when people were telling me everything that was destroying me, I was open-minded and wide awake. I come into the rooms of recovery and I want to dictate to the help how they should help me. They told me to go to a meeting every day. I said, every day? Man, y'all blowing this out of proportion. Well, I dedicated 24 hours, 7 days a week of my life to ruining it. If I don't have an hour and a half daily to hear something that might save my life, then I don't want to be sober. I just want the pain to stop for right now. So they told me to get a sponsor. I ain't want to get no sponsor, you know. They told me to read the big book. I don't know how it is here in your state or in the visit or the people that visit. You know, we have people tell new people things like read the first 164 pages and then come talk to me. If you have somebody tell you that, please run to the nearest addict and alcoholic who's desperate enough to show you exactly what to do. Because we tell the new people that your mind is the problem, and then we tell them to dissect a book that was authored by a college-educated man. It's not going to work. Think about it. Think of a rough or hard subject like trigonometry, okay? Let's say we all in a trigonometry class, and the trigonometry teacher walk in and say, hello, class, my name is teacher so-and-so. Throw the book on the table, say, read it, and walk out. We would all look at her like she lost her mind. We can't expect an alcoholic or addict with a mental disorder to dissect a book authored by a college-educated man. So they told me to read this book. I said, listen, you don't understand how many lies I told, how many lives I destroyed. My problem is a hell of a lot more complex than a book with some sentences, phrases, paragraphs, whatever they are. This is not going to help me. It talks about in the back of the book contempt prior to investigation. And what that means is before I give cocaine and Alcoholics Anonymous an honest shot, I start talking about and thinking about why it won't work for me. How do I know if it'll work if I've never tried it? So I didn't want to read the big book. They told me to pray. When I was younger, somebody told me that if you think wrong, you're going to hell, but God love you. And then they said, if you hang with Thomas from Indianapolis and Thomas do something wrong, he going to hell and you going with him, but God love you. So I grew up thinking that God was this sadistic hitman type figure that loved me, but was just waiting on my ass to slip. So I gave up on God at 12 or 13 years old because I said, if God works like this, I don't stand a chance. So when I came into AA, when I came into CA and they told me that I had to find God, I pushed back. I didn't think God wanted anything to do with me, okay? I had a problem with God, and I need you to understand that if you hate God or if you have a problem with God, he don't care. It's not going to prevent him from helping you. Think about it. Those of us that have children, our children get mad at us. Oh, she get hit by a truck. You know, they want us dead. We don't give a damn. We don't give a damn if they mad at us. And God doesn't care if I'm displeased with his services either. He doesn't care. So everything that they told me to do when I came to AA and CA, I questioned. They said go to meetings. I said, why? They said read the big book. I said, why? They said get a sponsor. I said, why? They said pray. I said, why? But I never went to the state store and say, I want a bottle, but tell me more about Jack Daniels, the man. Was he a Christian? Did he work? He have any kids? I never pulled up on nobody on the corner and say, man, I wanna get high, but where from Cuba did this come from, man? Who cooked this? Who cut this? I wasn't interested in the minor details. I just took it. I remember I was with some guys, and I need to tell y'all that I've done a lot of drugs. Some I don't know that I've done. Okay, I don't know all the drugs I've done. I remember situations where some guys, this was my test. If you did it and you ain't died, then I tried. I will watch you do it. If you ain't died, I tried. Now, what if it had a 10-minute death delay on it? What if you didn't die for the first 10 minutes? That's my ass. That's my ass. We have people in our fellowship, and I need you to understand there's a difference between the fellowship and the program. We have people in the fellowship that said, he got high because he wanted to get high. He got drunk because he wanted to get drunk. The big book Alcoholics Anonymous tells me I have no mental defense against the first drink. So when I was sitting up in treatment riding the relapse line, the telephone, okay, trying to control things I had no power over, when I was trying to, because society had lied to me. Society told me in order for me to be happy and successful, I need a wife, I need a home with a picket fence, I need a lucrative bank account, I need a nice car. Well, I had all that shit. It didn't make me happy when I had it, and it did not have the ability to keep me sober. So what was the purpose of coming in here trying to grab a whole bunch of things that had no power? Because I was in treatment, I wasn't working the steps, I didn't get a sponsor, but I got clothes, I got jewelry, I got a girlfriend, I got a car. And you know what happened? It talks about in the book that a thought came. And I hadn't built a relationship with God. So what was I going to do? Jump in my woman and make this insane thought go away? It wouldn't work. I had a nice car, but it didn't have a peace button. My clothes got old and got tired. So what ended up happening was after 6 months, all I had was more weight to lose and nicer shit to sell. Because I did nothing to build a relationship with God. Nothing. So people say he got high because he wanted to get high. I had no mental defense. Until I build a relationship with you people and God, there's nothing that's going to stop me. My sick mind ain't going to heal itself. It talks about in the big book Alcoholics Anonymous that the alcoholic is the type of individual that will cure a headache by beating himself in the head with a hammer. Now, I've done a lot of dumb shit. Okay, a lot. But I would never beat myself in the head with a hammer to cure a headache. Well, I've had a hangover. Anybody know what a hangover is? It's my body's allergic reaction to the use and abuse of too much alcohol. How do we cure hangovers? By drinking. How could drinking be the problem and the solution at the same time? It couldn't. But I've just tried to cure a headache with a hammer. I had no mental defense against the first drink. And that's why I picked it up. So I went back out. I didn't relapse. I never unlapsed. Okay, if you ain't worked the 12 steps, stop saying you relapse. You never unlapsed. You just stopped for a minute and then went back to doing what you were doing, and that's what happened to me. So I came back to the rooms October the 4th of 1995, and I've been here ever since. I was 21 years old, and there's nothing special about the fact that I came in at 21. It's nothing special about the fact that I got 13 years. It's nothing special about the fact that I was asked to speak here today. The only thing special about me is that I have a relationship with God. That's it. That's it, because if you remove everything except God, I'll be fine. See, society told me I needed all this stuff to make me happy. Let me tell you what sobriety taught me. Sobriety has taught me how to be okay with nothing. How to be okay with absolutely nothing. I don't need no woman. I don't need no money. I don't need no car. I don't need nothing. All I need is a relationship with God. And if I got a relationship with God, he's going to make sure that I have a job. He's going to make sure that I got money. He's going to make sure that I may have a significant other and I may not. But God is going to take care of me. So when I got here, October the 4th of 1995, I got involved with some individuals who were reading and practicing what's in this blue book. This book right here, this is the big book Alcoholics Anonymous. If you don't have one of these, you're not in the program. The instructions on how to recover are in this book, so you don't have the instructions, you can't recover. And the first thing we did, we opened it up to the forward. It said, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered. It's an ongoing thing in the fellowship. I'm recovering. I'll never recover. When you open the book, it explains to you that we recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. It says to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. So that just told me that the book is the precise, direct instructions. So without it, I'm leaning on the same thing that got me here to keep me sober. It's not going to work. And all the things that I learned in the Garden Valley Project, Stand Sober, wasn't one of them. So I'm not going to be able to wing this. I'm not going to be able to figure this out on my own. I'm going to need some help. It's important that I understand that this book was authored by Bill Wilson, but it was written about the experiences of 100 other members. This was not Bill's opinion. Bill would write some things down. He would send them to New York. He would share them with the people in Akron. They would approve or disapprove, send it back, and Bill would continue to write. So this wasn't one person's opinion. This was a collective understanding of the first 100 members. And that was important for me. The second thing we opened it up to was the doctor's opinion. Now, I've been to a doctor. You know, I've had a cast on my foot. I've had physicals. I've been to the doctor a lot of times. There's always been a certificate on the wall of a doctor's office, but I've never read it. I don't know if a gynecologist gave me a physical or if a neurologist gave me some acne medicine. I don't even know if the janitor threw on a white coat and was just fucking with people. But when I walked in the doctor's office, I took for granted that this guy could help me. But when they wrote it in the book, they knew that there were going to be some smart butts like me. I'm trying to work on my profanity. So if it bothers you, just pray for me because I need the prayers and you probably need to practice. But I went to the doctor's office, and before they told me anything about this doctor, they gave me his credentials. They said he was a well-known doctor, a chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in working with drug addicts and alcoholics. The hospital was Towns Hospital in New York City, and it was the equivalent of whatever your major hospital is. He was the chief physician, meaning he worked from the detox unit. He taught courses and everything about chemical dependency, all the way up until running his own hospital. He was considered an expert in working with drug addicts and alcoholics. And if anybody in here read the book, his overall expert opinion about us was, I can't help them motherfuckers. He said, I don't know what's wrong with them. He said, I don't know what's wrong with them. Something wrong with them. They would put us in detox. They would put us in detox for 3 or 5 days. We would get out. We would get drunk. Okay? They would give us medicine for DTs. We would seem to be fine. We would get out and we would get drunk. They would send us to psychiatrists. They would send us to assessments. And I don't know what your assessment was like. It was probably something like mine. I sat before somebody and they said, do you drink? I said, man, I might have a little Chardonnay with my dinner. Now, I don't drink Chardonnay. I can't spell Chardonnay. I drink wine out of a brown bag behind stores. But I'm so concerned with how I look to this person that I won't get honest. I don't want to look that bad or that desperate, so I won't get honest. He said, you smoke? No, man, I don't smoke at all. I got stem burns on the top and bottom rows of my lips. My fingertips is burnt off, and it talks about in the book, go figure that so many in the medical profession have such a low opinion on alcoholics and their chances of recovery. Because I'm so dishonest. I'm so dishonest. So, one thing that I found out in this book, and this is going to offend 80% of the people in this room, so I'm not going to say you. I'm going to make I statements. The Big Book Alcoholics says that if you accept or admit that you're an alcoholic, then you're retarded. Let me tell you what it says. It says, it did not satisfy us to be told that we cannot control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life. Anybody know what maladjusted mean? I mean, a little slow. You know, you don't quite deal with life like other people. Okay? It said that we were in full flight from reality. Full flight from reality. Let me tell you what that means. It meant that I was 130 pounds. I was very badly nutritioned. I looked horrible. You can see my ribs through my shirt. I looked in a mirror and I said, boy, look at them abs. I say, man, would you look at them abs? I said, I should be in Flex magazine with these abs here. I had a better chance of being on the Ethiopian calendar than I did being in Flex magazine. But with the alcoholic and the drug addict, I see the truth, but I create my own. I saw what was in the mirror, but I created my own. Full flight from reality. It said, or that we were outright mental defectives. If you're fortunate enough to have an apartment or a home with a lock, and you go buy a key to unlock the lock on this door, and the key doesn't work, what do they call a key? Defective. The Big Book Alcoholics Anonymous told me that I am mentally defective. That means my brain broke. I cannot rely on my own thinking. My mind has had a hit out on my ass for about 20-something years. My mind is trying to kill me. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. Every time I would get high, or every time the high was over, it talks about in the book pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. That means that when it's all said and done, I am disgusted with myself. I call myself everything but a child of God, and I'm just through with myself. I say I quit, and I mean it that day. I even mean it that week. I even mean it on payday. But pay moment when that money hit my hand, it talks about in the book that it's going to come a time where I can't bring to consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering of a day, a week, or a month ago. I'm without defense against the first drink. What that means is that my mind minimizes how bad I felt 6 days ago. See, you might not be like me. See, I would work for 13 days, celebrate for 2 hours, and complain for 13 more days until the next check came. I would go to work, and I would watch other people eat their lunch. And I would watch, and I would be hungry, and my pride wouldn't allow me to ask them for any. And people would walk up to me, and they would say, Shawn, why you ain't eating lunch? I say, because I'm on a diet. He say, motherfucker is working, because you losing weight rapidly. Ever since you've been working here, you are losing weight rapidly. You should write a book. Back to the doctor's opinion. The doctor's opinion told me that the body of the alcoholic and addict is quite as abnormal as his mind. Now, I knew something was wrong with me mentally, but I didn't understand how something was physically wrong with me. Y'all might not be like me. I don't know what the crack like out here, okay? I would cash my check, and before I even started to get high, I would start pooting and sweating, and my stomach would get bubbly, and I would get nervous and jittery. And I ain't even started getting high yet. Just the thought of getting high had my body going through changes. That is the definition of a sickness. Because I like sex. But I ain't never get so excited I started pooting and farting and sweating before I got there. What if I did? And show up, she'd be like, what you been pooting? What's wrong with you? And then further on that page, it talked about the doctor's theory that we had an allergy to alcohol and drugs interest us. So I look at my life. I say, if I'm allergic to strawberries and I eat a strawberry, it's going to make me break out. But I'm intelligent. I figure if I put strawberries in the blender with ice cream and milk, the milk and the ice cream is going to water down the potency of the strawberry and it won't make me break out. I try it and I still break out. I say, you know what? I'm going to wait about a year. I'm going to change my name. I'm going to grow a big-ass afro, and I'm going to move to Missouri, get me a new job in a Lexus. And then I'm going to eat a strawberry, and what you think going to happen? Because I'm allergic to strawberries. Drug addicts and alcoholics have an allergic reaction to dope and alcohol. No matter who you date, what you drive, where you live, or how much money you make, you put that shit in your body today, it's going to do exactly what it did the last day you put it in your body. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe the book. Take a look at your own life. How many times you going to move? Man, I need to get away from drunk-ass Thomas. Oh, every time I'm around him, I spend my whole check. And then I move to a new neighborhood, and I got to find somebody like Thomas because that's my boy. See, Thomas wasn't my problem. Let me explain to y'all what my problem is, because a lot of y'all think that drugs and alcohol is your problem, and if you think that, it's a good chance that your sobriety date might change. Let me tell you what my problem is. I wake up in the morning, I'm sober. I go to the mailbox, I see a check in the mailbox, I get excited, I grab it, but I'm still sober. I go to the check cashing place, they cash my check, I count it, they count it with me, I'm still sober. When they slide me that money and that money hit my hand, my mind started telling me how I could go get the hard white and how ain't nobody gonna know and how it's gonna be different this time. So is drugs the problem, or is it that my mind keeps convincing me that there will be no consequences this time? With this money and this check, like what's different about this check? It's just like the other check, just like the other money. It talks about in the big book that I have an obsession of the mind. An obsession is a thought that overrules all other thoughts, rational or irrational. What that means is the strongest working part of my brain want to get high. Let me give you an example. I would be leaving in the morning to go to work. Say I'm leaving in the morning to go to work. It's payday. And y'all not like me. See, I get robbed every payday. Either I get robbed or payroll don't come through. Either one of them two happens every payday. So I'm leaving out the house, and my old lady is standing by the door, right? Now, I think that's nice. You know, I'm leaving. She wanted to see me off. But I look a little further. It's some bags right by the front of the door. So I walk up to her. I say, baby, what's going on? She say, motherfucker, get robbed again. Get robbed today, okay? And I'm going to show you why these bags get robbed today. So I go to work with the threat of homelessness on my mind, okay? Go to work with the threat of homelessness on my mind. I go to work with the threat of poverty on my mind. I go to work thinking that I have nowhere to take my things on my mind. And I say, I can't mess this up. No. And I'm cool all day at work. I'm cool when I get off work. I'm cool when they give me the check. But as soon as I cash it, my mind kicks in. She been getting on my motherfucking nerves anyway. I need to be gone. It is July. Homelessness ain't that bad. I can leave this stuff in my mama's garage. My mind is obsessed with using. So it tells me that there won't be any consequences. That's what it tells me. Any of you that's familiar with the movie Friday, my disease is like Debo. Because every time I come up with an idea, it say, shut up, punk. I be like, man, I come up with these brilliant ideas, like I'm going to hide 300 in my shop, which ain't a bad idea, but I know where my fucking ankle located. I was just there this morning. How am I hiding in a spot and I know where it's at? But my mind convinces me that it's safe there. The second part of my physical allergy, the second part of my physical problem is that, well, one thing I want to share with you is paranoia. Let me tell you the strange thing about cocaine. Cocaine is the only drug on the planet that heightens all of your senses to 100 at the same time. So you do hear shit. You do. And you do feel something crawling on you. Because all of your damn senses are heightened at this. They're not designed to work like that, if you didn't know. So that's why you hearing and seeing and feeling. Because everything working. Good. Too good. Let me tell you something else about my physical allergy. This is what's different about us. And the Big Book Alcoholics Anonymous, in the doctor's opinion, it keeps hitting on things to let you know if you need our help or not. Because everybody doesn't have this problem. See, all of us got your boy, or all of us got your girl. Somebody you've been knowing your whole life that'll get high, wrap their shit up, and leave and go to work. Ain't never lost a job, never lost a home, never had any problems. And I try to be that person. I try to figure out why I can't get high like them. It's because I have what's called a phenomenon of craving. And if you want to simplify it, I start fiending. Everybody don't start fiending when they drink or get high, but the drug addict and alcoholic does. Let me tell you what happens. If me and my sister, who doesn't have this disease, goes to a bar, we both get a Corona. She'll probably drink some of her Corona, get about to half. She'll get a little lightheaded, a little dizzy. Her Corona will get hot, and she'll be done. I'll sit there with the same kind of drink of Corona, and I'll drink a Corona, and I'll get thirsty. As soon as I drink it, I get thirsty, and I'll drink another one, and I'll become more thirsty. See, drug addicts and alcoholics, this phenomenon of craving, and a phenomenon is an unexplainable occurrence. And let me tell you what happens. Every drink I take, every hit I take, fuels my body to get another one of them right now. And I take another one. Every hit or drink I take fuels me to get another one of them right now. And I want it real bad. The desire between one hit to another one is astonishing. I'll take a hit and I want another one really, really bad right now. And when I take another one, I want another one really, really bad right now. So I'm a mouse in a maze. I had $5,000 worth of dope, got down to the last 10-piece smoked it. I said, man, I just need one more. Now what the hell is a $5 rock gonna do that $5,000 worth of dope couldn't do? You ever wonder why you tell a bartender at 11:30, man, let me get one for the road, but you never leave the bar to 3:15? Because the one for the road fuels me for another one for the road. I done told I went from a street to a road to the freeway. Let me get one for the expressway. Because this ain't over. This is not over. The last part of my disease is the soul sickness. I lie, steal, cheat, con, manipulate, rob. I do anything for one more. I need to tell y'all that I did any and everything to get high. There were only a few things that I didn't do, and that's only because nobody approached me right on one of them nights I was fiending. Because I'd do anything. I would have looked a man dead in the eye and said, you ain't going to tell nobody, is you? I am a heterosexual male. I have no homosexual tendencies, but I would do anything for one more. And I would like for y'all to believe that it'd be a big extravagant amount, maybe $2 worth, $2, $3 worth. You catch me right? Give me $2, $3 worth, man. And that's scary though. My whole lead would be different. I'd probably be up here crying. God gave me $3. And it was a dummy, but we had already got finished. One thing that I have to understand about this problem that I have, which is my thinking, that I can't control it. I can't control it on my own. My only shot to do anything about this disease is to build a relationship with God. Let me explain something to you. If I have a computer, say I got this Dell computer, and the Dell has what's called a brain, they call it a hard drive. You need the motherboard and all of that too, but the hard drive is where the operating system goes. This is how this thing works, right? If you get a virus on this Dell computer, the best thing you could do with it is not take it to the corner computer store because y'all cheap want to save a couple dollars. Take it back to Dell because Dell created it and Dell will know exactly what to do to get this stuff out. So we send it back to the manufacturer. With the drug addict and alcoholic, our problem centers in our brain also, in our mind. No human power can help it. No amount of love or anything can help it. What I have to do is work the 12 steps, and that's how I send the brain back to the manufacturer. And he's the only one that can help me. I got a guy that I sponsor. He can't stay sober, and his wife called me, and she said, Shawn, I don't understand. She say, we have a beautiful home. We have beautiful kids. He has a career. I have a career. We've done all of this to build this beautiful life for ourselves, and he just can't stop getting high, Shawn. I don't understand. I said, well, Janice, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go to Walgreens, which is a drugstore. I said, I need you to go to Walgreens, and I need you to get a bottle of extra strength X-Lax, the liquid. I need you to drink this all the way down to the bottom. And in about 15 minutes after that, I want you to use your love, your morals, your ethics, and your values to prevent this X-Lax from working. She said, Shawn, that's ridiculous. I said, so is thinking that an untreated addict and alcoholic without a 12-step program has any shot at all at a good life. So, I'm not going to be up here long. Like I said, for all the new people, I need you to understand something. I need a sponsor. I have to have a sponsor. If you have a sponsor right now, you're new in recovery, you and your sponsor get along pretty good, see eye to eye, kind of friendly, get away from them. If you just came out of damn crack house in an abandoned building and he been sober for years and y'all get along fine, something wrong with one of y'all. How the hell we get along? We don't live or think the same. But I need a sponsor, somebody that can show me how to apply these 12 steps to my life. I have people come up to me all the time and say, Shawn, I don't know how I got high. I don't know what happened. I said, I do. You weren't working the 12-step program. The 12 steps are divinely inspired, and the only thing that my God can't do is fail. He can't fail. So if you follow the suggestions the way they're laid out in this book, you'll be fine for just one day. Just one day. I don't have to stay sober for the rest of my life. I only got to stay sober till I go to sleep. And if God wake me up tomorrow, we'll worry about tomorrow when it get here. But I should be fine for the rest of the day with God and you all's help. So I have to find somebody that I can talk about what I'm feeling and thinking. I have to find somebody I can talk to about what I'm feeling and thinking. See, as sponsors, we gotta really get on the ball. Because where I come from, they say things like, I ain't giving up no rides. I ain't no taxi cab. But in the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, and working with others, it talks about every day is a day me and the new man must walk hand in hand in the path of spiritual progress. What that means is that he's helping your ass. You ain't helping him. He might not even stay. But I'm learning how to be unselfish. The guys that I sponsor, they think I'm cool. They think I'm cool as hell. Because I take them out to dinner. If I'm hungry and they with me, I take them out to dinner. I don't just take them out. But, they need money for cigarettes, I give it to them, stuff like that. And they think I'm cool. They like, man, my sponsor, cool. What they don't understand is that I'm using them. I am raw using them. Okay? And what I mean by that is I'm selfish. The only way to get out of selfishness is to do things for other people, to sacrifice my time, to sacrifice my money. And that's what I have to do. So I have to get a sponsor. I have to start applying these 12 steps. And I have to build a relationship with God. And if you don't believe in God right now, that's fine. Just believe when you look in the mirror that that's not him or her, and that'll be sufficient for right now. They just gave me this thing like this, so I guess I know what that means. I'm going to share this story, and then I'm going to sit down. I was always in a rush to stand up and comment at meetings, but I didn't have a 12-step program in my life. So what I would do is I had low self-esteem, so I would wait. I would hear somebody say something on a Wednesday, and people would say, say that. Go ahead, brother. And I wanted some attention. So that Friday, I would make sure he wasn't there, and I'd say what he said. And then say, say that. Go ahead, little brother. Everybody that I transferred that message to got help except for me, because I didn't know what it meant. It was a little bird that fell out of a tree. So the point of the story is until you get the 12 steps in your life, just go to discussion groups and talk. Okay? Don't stand up and always want to be seen or heard. So anyway, it was a bird that was in a tree, fell out of the tree. He's a real small bird. And he fell on the ground and he was crying. And a bull walked up to him and he said, "What's wrong, little bird?" The bird said, "I fell out of the tree. I don't have enough strength to fly back up to the top of the tree." The bull said, "All you have to do is follow behind me and pick up and eat my droppings, and they'll give you nourishment, and they'll make you bigger and stronger, and you'll be able to fly." So the bird started to follow behind the bull, and every time the bull put his droppings down, the bird would eat them. And the bird continued to get stronger and bigger and stronger and bigger until eventually the bird had enough strength to fly up to the nest, and he made it up to the nest, and he was so happy he started to sing. And he sung and sung and sung and sung and sung and sung. And a farmer heard all this damn noise, shot him out the tree with a shotgun and killed him. The moral to the story is if you're full of bullshit, you should keep your mouth closed. Thank you.